Transmission oil, the oil that most people forget to change in their car. And in fact, it's just as important as your engine oil. But the good thing is, it only needs changing every couple of years and it's super easy to do, especially on these Mark 1 Focuses. Today, let me show you how. Welcome everyone, and thanks for checking out this video about how to change your transmission oil on a Focus Mark 1. If you're new here and if you haven't done so yet, consider subscribing to the channel to see more car DIY projects that you can do at home in your garage. So today we're going to change the transmission fluid on this Focus Mark 1. You'll want to do this about every 2 years depending upon how much driving you do. It's really good insurance to make sure that your gearbox is in tip-top shape. I mean, think about it. You change your engine oil all the time to keep it running perfectly, right? Well, I hope you do. Your gearbox is no different. It needs its oil changed to make sure that it's protected against wear. But luckily, not as frequently as your engine oil, so while your transmission oil itself is more expensive than regular engine oil, you don't have to change it quite as often. So in this video, I'm going to show you how easily you can do that at home and the small amount of hand tools that you'll need to get it done. So let's go. Alright, so we're going to head off to the shop and I'm going to show you which oil to buy for the Focus. Alright, let's go home and do this thing.
So the tools you're going to need are an oil catch pan, a funnel if your oil didn't come in a squeezable bottle, a ratchet and an extension, a 13mm spanner, an 8mm hex socket, a 13mm socket, a torch, some paper towel or rags, a torque wrench, some gloves and eye protection.
Alrighty, so your transmission will be on this side of the engine. It pretty much starts where your engine ends, so right about there. Everything from this point onwards outwards is your transmission. So it's underneath the battery and the airbox cover, and you can see it just in there. It's that ribbed section underneath the battery there. So let's head underneath the car and I'll show you where the bolts are. So there will be 2 bolts that you'll need to worry about when changing the fluid in your transmission. The first one will be this one. This is your filler plug. And the second one is over here on this side, right over there. Okay, so this is your drain plug. So we'll need to remove this to drain all the oil. Now, before you can do that, you may run into the same problem that I do, which is that this bolt is in a cavity. And my socket definitely does not fit in through there, but Ford has thought of that. If you remove this bracket, there is a hole that you can put an extension through in there to reach that bolt. So to remove this bracket, what you'll need is a 13mm to undo these bolts, and then there's another one just over there. So if you remove that bolt and these 3 bolts here, you should be able to remove this bracket, and then that will give you plenty of purchase to reach through here onto this bolt. Alright, so let's get to it. Should be able to wriggle this out of the way just like that. So now you'll see what I mean. Basically, we've got a hole just through here that we can put an extension through and reach this drain plug. What we'll do is we'll first of all loosen up the fill plug so that we don't create a vacuum in here to allow the fluid to drain out properly. So what you want to do is undo this plug first, where you will be putting the oil in. And the reason you want to do that is you don't get the glug, 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 glug thing. Air will be allowed to come in through here, and then this can pour out nice and smoothly. So let's do that first. Let's go over there and crack open the fill plug. So to crack open the fill plug, what you're going to need is an 8mm hex socket. Okay, so that goes right in there. So this may be on tight. There it goes. Okay, it's fine. I was a little bit worried there for a second. I saw some dampness here, and you really shouldn't. You shouldn't see any fluid coming out of this because your car is on an angle, and if it was correctly filled, all the fluid should be at the back of the transmission pointing downhill. Yeah, so because the front is raised, there should be no fluid here, so you can safely take this out. Now at the moment we've got the car on an incline because I want the fluid to be heading downhill towards the drain plug. We're going to remove that drain plug and all the fluid is going to flow downhill. Gravity is going to help us to get all the fluid out, but once the fluid is out, we'll put the drain plug back in and we'll actually raise the rear of the car so that this transmission will end up level. Only when the transmission is level do you want to fill the fill plug back full of transmission fluid. If you start filling this transmission now, what will happen is you'll get a false reading. By the time the fluid comes out of here, which is your indicator that this transmission is full, you will actually overfill this transmission because it's on an incline. So when you level it, all the fluid from the back will come to the front. So you want to make sure that the transmission is level when you fill it back up. And the indicator of the transmission being full is the fluid coming out of here when it is level, not right now when it's on an incline. So let's get the drain plug out and we'll drain all the fluid. Alrighty, so now that the engine mount bracket is out of the way, you'll be able to see that you can get an extension and run it through here into the bolt, just like so. And you can attach your ratchet to the end, like so. And off we go. Alrighty, so obviously I've got my pan ready here to catch the fluid. So I'm just going to undo this. So just get ready to catch the fluid. Your fuel plug, your drain plug, sorry, may fall, but that's okay. We can just fish it out later. And here it all comes. There's a couple of liters in here, so it won't take too long for it to drain. So as you can see, it makes a little bit of a mess, but not too bad. We can clean that up quite easily. So again, everything's pointing downhill. The front of the car is pointing up and the rear of the car is pointing down. So everything is naturally draining into this rear drain hole. Let's give it a few moments and let it all drain out. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's mostly drained out. It's just small drips now. So after a quick cleanup, get all the oil out of there as much as you can. Let's put the plug back in. So yeah, just feed it through. There we go. By the way, check out how much your engine moves without the torque mount attached. This is why it's really important to have a really good one of these. Otherwise you get a lot of vibration in the cabin because this isn't any good. And if you're wondering how to replace this, if you do have a lot of vibration, just check out my other video that shows you how to replace all three mounts. Alrighty, so now that that's in, what we want to do is torque this thing back up. So you need to set a torque wrench to 45 Newton meters. So now that we've got the fuel plug back in, we'll reattach this. And this is the way it goes on.
Alrighty, so before we go ahead and fill this car back up, I just wanted to show you this quickly. This is my drain pan, and I just want to give you a quick tip when deciding to buy a drain pan. What you want to do is buy a bright colored one. I find it really helpful to be able to see the oil against the drain pan itself. As you can see, the capacity is 2 liters for the transmission fluid in this car. Again, that's very easy to see because this thing is a bright color. Now, another beneficial reason of having a bright colored drain pan that contrasts against the oil is so that when you pour this oil out, you can see the deposits that are left inside the pan, which gives you a good indicator of the health of your transmission or your engine oil if that's what you're changing. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to pour the oil into this old container, and of course when you dispose of old fluid, never just pour it down the drain. Always get rid of it through a recycling center. So I'm going to pour it into this container, and then I'll take the container to the council recycling center so that they can dispose of it safely. But once this drain pan is empty, like so, I can leave it here for it to drain. Alright, now check this out. So because my drain pan is a bright color and it's not black, I can see all the little deposits that were inside of my transmission. So this way you can really tell whether you've got a problem here, and mine is looking very, very good. Alright, so you want a bright colored drain pan so that you can tell whether there are shavings, metal shavings in your oil, or any other deposits that shouldn't be there, or whether it's mixing with anything. If you're talking about engine oil, is there coolant in there? Is there anything else? So mine is looking okay. I've got a few little deposits here, and they do feel like metal shavings, but they're nothing drastic, nothing bad at all. So this transmission is in really good health, and I can tell that simply because I've got a bright colored drain pan. So I'm going to let this drain here a little bit, and then I'll take this container to the recycling center. Never pour your engine oil or your transmission fluid down a drain.
Alrighty, time to refill the transmission, and the first thing we're going to do is level the car by raising it with a jack and supporting it with jack stands.
Okie dokie, now that the car is level, we're ready to put the oil in using the filler plug just over there. Alright, so here is our gearbox oil. 7590 is what goes in the MTX 75 transmissions. You'll need 2 liters. Okay, now to put the oil in, we're lucky on these Focuses in that we've got plenty of room to work in. So most of these transmission oils come with a little extendable spout, so we should be able to put the oil in using just the containers by squeezing. If you're finding it hard to put the oil in, consider getting yourself one of these all-purpose utility pumps. All it is basically a bottle with a pump on the top. You put the fluid in there, and this goes into your transmission hole, into the filler plug, and you basically start pumping, and the fluid will transfer from the bottle through the actual pipe into your transmission. But let's try these bottles first. Obviously get your drain pan ready, just in case you overfill and the fluid starts coming out. Stick the nozzle in there. Raise the bottle up and squeeze. And there it is right there. All right, so that is the sign you're looking for. When the oil starts dripping out like that, it means that your transmission is full. So let's give it a quick wipe down. Plug goes back in, make sure the thread is seated properly and that it's clean, just like so. And same deal, we want to torque it down to 45 Newton meters. Alrighty, so that's kind of it. We're going to lower the car and go for a drive. So there you go, that's how you change the transmission oil on a Ford Focus Mark 1. Wasn't very hard, was it? Give yourself about an hour, well, give yourself a couple of hours actually to do this job, just to check everything, make sure that everything is okay. But not very hard. You should have it all done in the morning, and it's really good insurance, really good preventative maintenance to make sure that your transmission stays in really good health. Also, consider what I said about a bright oil catch pan. All right, I think it's a really good thing to have, because when you drain the oil out of the catch pan, you can see all the little bits of dirt and, you know, metal shavings that might be in your oil, and it will help you catch any problems before they turn into massive problems. So yeah, consider getting one of those, because when the oil is gone, you can really see those particles hanging around there, and you can tell if something's not the way it should be. But alrighty, that's kind of it for this video. I just want to point out the boxes behind me. So as I said in some other videos before this one, despite the fact that we've got a new project car, a second project car on this channel being the Ford Mustang, this little Focus is going nowhere, and those are some of the parts that we'll be putting on this car next. So if you're worried, don't be. This Focus will get lots more videos coming on this channel, and if you want to see more of that, make sure you subscribe and click the bell so that you're notified when I post up new videos. And finally, I hope that you like this video, and if you did, please click the like button so that I know that I've done this right. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with today's effort. A nice little job that makes sure that this car keeps running in tip-top condition. You know, I just love this little thing. It's 20 years old and it's going super strong. So anyway, I hope that today's video helped you out, and if it did, go ahead and try this on your car. But enough chit chat from me. I'll see you next time.